one of our spirits suppliers. My name is Nigel. I'm the owner of Mother Caddies, and I'm here with the folks from Devil's Botany, which is a absinthe distillery based up in East London. So I'll let the guys introduce themselves.
Hello, everybody.
Hi. We are founders of London's first absinthe distillery, Devil's Botany, and we're based in Walthamstow. And we're also owners of the cocktail bar here at the Last Tuesday Society, which is where we're talking to you guys from today.
Yeah. Actually, before we move on to the absinthe, quick question. How long have you guys had the bar there now on Cambridge Heath Road?
So since May 2016.
Okay, yeah. It's a great bar. I really enjoy it. And and the fact that I live 2 minutes down the road is always a good thing. Yeah. Devil's Botany. Yeah, like I said, first London distilled absinthe, to my knowledge. So that's really exciting. Do you want to show us through how to pour?
Yes.
And how to, what would be your favourite serve?
Yeah, so, I mean, we've kind of got two, to be honest with you. We've got one, which is very much the tradition. Well, they're both traditionally prepared ways of doing it. One would be a soda siphon, and the other would be the absinthe fountain or a carafe. So we've just got a little carafe that we keep a block of put water in it, put it in the freezer, keep it nice and cold, and then we've just got it out about half an hour ago. So it's really cold, topped it with water. That's perfect sort of temperature. You really want your water nice and cold when you're drinking absinthe. You want it to be refreshing. And then the traditional absinthe glass. These are mostly because of their reservoir that they have at the bottom. Yeah. So in the bar, we're lucky enough that we have measurers, jiggers. We can measure our absinthe. At home, if you don't have a measurer, or these days an egg cup or anything to measure a part of spirit, you just fill this little reservoir to the top, and then you have your perfect serve. So I'm just going to do that now.
And I will join you. I have some here as well. I will create my own little absinthe at home. So is there a particular ratio between absinthe and water?
I mean, you can. We suggest 3 parts water to 1 part of the absinthe. We've created this absinthe at 55%. So traditionally, absinthe or pre-ban absinthe, they would range from 55% and go up until around 72 to 75%. So it is very strong. If I was using a 75% absinthe, I would want to increase my water ratio. As it's a 55% absinthe, I'm going to keep it a little bit lower. So 3 parts, possibly 2 parts. Always, we'll talk through it, but I always kind of go slowly, because if you over dilute it, then you've lost that real explosion of flavor. It's still very refreshing, but for me, I want my my tongue to go numb and get that real experience from it. So I will pour it. So in here, 25 ml is a standard UK measure. 30 ml or 1 ounce is a standard American measure. Absinthe goes. We do our measures here at 30 milliliters in the bar, and the reservoir will hold 30 milliliters. So each their own. Absinthe. You may have seen one of these before.
Yeah, the absinthe spoon,
Yeah, perforated spoon. This goes on top of the glass, and that is going to be holding a sugar cube, which I've cut like a standard sugar cube in half, just because I like to have it a little less sweet, just a little touch of sweetness, rather than going sort of too full on. So that's your very quick, very simple preparation, and then ice cold water. I'm going to slowly pour it over my sugar cube and into the glass. And I'm going to take it really slow, again, because I don't want to over dilute it. And I'm going to sort of realize that I'm at 1 part when it's doubled. So here we go. Over the ice cube. So we've got to about 1 part, and you'll start to see that the absinthe is starting to change, to transform. And it's gone from a completely clear color into like a nice opaque, sort of creamy milky white. So I'm just going to add a little bit more, about 1.5 parts. Probably around 2 parts. So I'm going to quickly taste it here just to see how I like it and see if I want to add any more water or if I want to put my sugar cube in. Preference is everything with absinthe.
There are so many different ways to prepare it that it's really just finding your sweet spot, finding your favorite serve of it with the water, the sugar.
So for me, that was it was still very. I got a huge hit of anise and fennel, which I really like. So I'm not going to add too much more water. Just a little drop, just to soften it a touch. I've dropped my sugar cube in there, giving it a stir. A little touch more. So preference. I'm still making my mind up now.
Yeah, 100%. You can always add, never take away.
Kind of put it closer to the camera. You can see that it's completely transformed. There's a kind of blue tinge to it, which we've kind of referenced the Swiss style of making it, which was like a clandestine way. So that's our simplest and sort of most traditional way to serve it. Cheers.
Yeah, I'm not going to add any water to mine just yet. I'm just going to try it by itself. Because when I think about absinthe and I think about running bars, it is always a very complicated serve. So I think the way you've done it, especially with the carafe and that being chilled water, that takes a lot of that. I'm going to use this word now, and it's the wrong word to use, so apologies. The faff of using an absinthe fountain. It's a great bit of theatre. I think they look amazing, and the process of using one is great, but they are time consuming, and you're quite limited in what you can do. So I do think that's a great, simpler way of doing it. So that's how we'd serve it. So do you want to actually talk us through, and as we taste it, the absinthe and why you have created this product in this way? And I think a couple of interesting points on what you said then that would be good to kind of talk about, probably clarify really, is the ban and what is the difference between your absinthe and what would a traditional Swiss absinthe be?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I will quickly run through the sort of how we taste the absinthe, and then I'll let Ali continue on. So there's 5 ways that we in the absinthe sort of world want to taste and sort of evaluate an absinthe. So the first one is the appearance. With a clear or blue or blanche absinthe, it has to be crystal clear. So no taint, no cloudiness, just as a gin or a vodka should look. If you were to make a green absinthe, then you're looking for a more natural coloured sort of olive green to autumn leaf sort of yellowy tinge. But as we've got the clear absinthe, just completely clear. The second one is the louche, is the second way we sort of test an absinthe to make sure that it's traditional quality. So for that, you kind of want your louche not to be completely thick like a pastis, and you don't want it to be completely sort of, what's the word, like thin either. So you're trying to hit this middle ground of using anise and fennel, really. So the louche is coming from the anise and the fennel. It's the quality of the anise and the fennel that make the difference. We source our fennel and anise from the south of France and the south of Spain, which is where they were traditionally getting their anise from pre-ban. So we've gone right to the source of absinthe to create ours and get our botanicals. So that's the second one. The first is the appearance, the second is the louche, the third is the aroma. Now we can sort of take a taste. I do want to just do the same as you as well and just sort of smell it without it being...
Yeah, I'm trying to think of when I smell it. Again, descriptors each to their own, but it smells very comforting to me.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's really... I don't know what this says about me personally, but it makes me think of a happy place.
Yeah.
There's something very warming and just quite cozy about it. in a odd way, but yeah, I find it, and yeah, you really get that anise and that the wormwood come through,
and then hopefully towards the end, kind of like a peppermint notes as well.
Oh yeah, 100% of peppermint, yeah.
And then sort of behind the anise, the fennel, that's kind of the first hit. The peppermint comes through at the end, and then you just get like what you're saying, the warming sort of spices, and together it just, I don't know, makes this really, really great aroma. We've also got elderflower and meadow, so that's kind of giving it a nice floralness from behind as well. So the aroma, the louche, the appearance, they're the first three. Fourth one is flavour, most important, and mouthfeel. So the flavour of the apple, it should contain or mainly taste of green anise, fennel seed, and ground wormwood. Ground wormwood is what creates the bitterness in the absinthe, and the anise and the fennel is what gives it the sweetness. So we're balancing the three, and that's why it's the Holy Trinity. And then the mouthfeel, you want it to be really creamy, and so that's going to come from the louche. Once all the oils have been released from the botanicals, it's going to create a really fabulous mouthfeel.
Yeah, even just trying it by itself there, you still get a bit of that. It's quite fiery, it's quite warming, but it's still quite, like you said, a creamy, I think is a good word you use there as well. And
then you get like, because of the fennel and the green anise, they have a natural compound called anethol. So that's really then where that takes over, and it starts to react with your tongue and your taste buds in your tongue. It starts to tingle. So I was just thinking you're getting this huge impact of flavour, and then you're getting this whole different experience once your tongue really starts to taste it.
Yeah, I've had no sugar in mine. I'm just going to have some sparkling water.
Perfect.
I don't know, and it's, as I drink that and as I try it, it makes me want to kind of almost be sitting on a beach somewhere.
Yes. Somewhere
slightly warm, and it just feels very, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, it's just very warming. It makes me just, what's the word, Nigel? You can find the word. No, I can't find the word. What's the word I'm looking for? Refreshing was the word I was ironically looking for there. Yeah, it just makes me want to be somewhere hot, which is.
I mean, we're familiar with drinking pastis. In the south of France, and we'll sit there in the daytime or in the early evening and have a pastis in the sunshine. There's no reason why you can't do that with an absinthe. So absinthe isn't going to be filled with sugar. And like you can do it with or without, but it's that similar sort of refreshing aperitif that lends itself really well for this time of day.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And especially, I've not put any sugar in mine, so it is just quite cleansing as well. And there's no cloying sweetness there that you can get with some other drinks. And yeah, it just feels very clean and very fresh.
Yeah, and then hopefully you'll be able to just sort of notice one thing we've picked up in this absinthe as well. It's like a little mint chocolate sort of right at the end as it finishes, which again is down to the quality of the ground wormwood we luckily get from Switzerland, and it gives it this a whole other dimension. That again, it's a very dry, the second most bitter plant in the world. Yeah, it has so much sort of herbaceousness, and then even secret notes of chocolate as well. So it's a fantastic herb. It's a great experience to drink.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I really enjoy it, and it's kind of, I think, like I said before, but in hospitality, absinthe is quite a neglected category. To have something that's locally made, bring that back, that we and me as a bar owner can get excited about and look forward to stocking, and then selling to the customers that come in, makes me really excited, and that makes me, I look forward to having this behind the bar. It'd be fair to say. So that is good. I think it's really super interesting. So if you want to tell us, I think, Alison, about the ban and what's happened there, because again, I think that preconceived notion that people have of absinthe, I'm pretty sure I remember speaking to people not that long ago, and they're still thinking that absinthe's banned in this country.
Yeah.
And I'm not even too sure if it's ever been banned in this country.
It hasn't. That's true. Yeah. So, I mean, we are definitely working against the old stigmas from the early 20th century. Basically, I mean, at the end of the day, absinthe is a botanical spirit. It's made in a similar way to gin. There's no reason to be fearful of it. But around the turn of the 20th century, you started to see a lot of temperance movement campaigns specifically targeting absinthe as the root of all evil. But what was really going on at the time, there were very little regulations on what was actually being bottled and sold. So similar to the UK's gin craze, you didn't really know what you were getting in a bottle unless you were buying one of the big brands. So there was some dodgy stuff out there. And this was happening at the same time that the phylloxera crisis was sort of wiping out the grapevines in France.
Yep.
So the wine industry was struggling, and absinthe was taking over as the national drink of France. The wine industry was naturally not happy about that, so they backed temperance movements massively. And then also at the time, there were like hardcore drugs everywhere, really, that were very readily accessible and socially acceptable. So the absinthe wasn't what was making people go crazy, but the lack of regulations and the fact that they didn't really understand alcoholism and addiction at the time, mixing those substances with alcohol could certainly make people go a little bit mad on its own. But that combo happened, the unperfect storm, if you will. Then absinthe was banned in most countries across Europe by the start of World War I.
Yeah.
Like you said, it was never banned in the UK. And so you see like old legendary cocktail books, like the Savoy cocktail book or the Café Royal. British bartenders kept using absinthe in their cocktails during the ban. And so that's an interesting bit of history connecting absinthe to cocktails here in this city. But in 2005, the ban was lifted in Switzerland in 2005, in the US in 2007.
Okay, great.
In France in 2011. So we're still just getting people to realize that actually the scientific research of the past, it just doesn't hold up to modern day science. It wasn't making people hallucinate. This is a botanical spirit. It's okay. So I didn't realize it was that late in the States. So that's almost like a brand new spirit category. Yeah, exactly. And also the France and Switzerland, those were where the big name distillers were before the ban. So when the production stopped in those countries, the spirit really became a time capsule, and it didn't really come back until those distillers were able to start talking about the traditions again.
Okay, yeah, that's amazing. That's super interesting. I really didn't realize that it was like, that ban was not that long ago that was lifted. God, so it is literally, it's a category that's just not that old at all. Exactly.
Around 1988, the ban was lifted in other countries across Europe. And that's sort of when you see the introduction of the bohemian style of absinthe, that nuclear green, really sort of sweet licorice flavor, set it on fire. It's not really absinthe, but that category didn't help.
No, not at all. I may or may not have drunk some flaming absinthe at university.
We're all guilty of doing it.
I mean, we've been to the old absinthe house in New Orleans. It's been there.
Okay, amazing.
1806.
And they sell the same absinthe that we sell, very good quality absinthe, yet they still set it on fire. So we've been a part of it. We've sat there, we've had our absinthe set on fire for the experience. It happens, unfortunately, but that was still good quality absinthe. We got to blow out the flames and drink good stuff.
Yeah, we had to ask them not to do it because you wouldn't you wouldn't get a premium spirit from the back bar and then ask the bartender to put it on fire and ruin the flavor and burn the alcohol away.
Yeah, you wouldn't go to a whiskey bar, order some Port Ellen at 500 quid a shot and be like, just want to set that on fire for me. That's not happening, is it? So that's really weird. And yeah, so how did you guys get to obviously you've been stocking Absinthe in the bar, and was there just one day when you're like, do you know what we really need to do? We need to set up an Absinthe distillery.
Yeah.
Just to make life more complicated.
Just to complicate things in the middle of lockdown. Yeah. No, Absinthe's been our passion for the last 5 years since we opened the bar, and in the beginning, it was a big struggle to get people on board to drinking it. And now we sell more absinthe than we do gin. And we have amazing repeat customers that come back and they want to show their friends how to prepare an absinthe and what absinthe should taste like. So the passion was there. And then we were importing most of the absinthes for our menu, because we wanted to get the traditional stuff from France and from Switzerland and tell their stories. And then as we were doing that, we were sort of constantly researching. We definitely geek out about absinthe on an external level. And we discovered a old herbal elixir that was quite popular in the 18th century here in London, that was made using wormwood and anise distilled, and it was administered by the apothecaries. And they said that the Londoners particularly like to drink it recreationally as well. So we knew that there was this history in the city to play with. And then lockdown happened, and we launched in December. Yeah.
Well, it's as good a time as any. There's no, I always think with these things, there's no right time, so I might as well just crack on and do it. And how have you found? Obviously, we're in lockdown, and it's only been December, so it's only been literally a few weeks. But how have you found the reaction to it so far?
I mean, really, really good. There's obviously you've still got a few that are unsure. They want to see an absinthe that is like 80% that we've talked about, and then we've got a few that are really curious, and it's the curious that we're trying to help sort of guide and showcase like what real absinthe is, and those that have been curious, we do the taster sets that we'll probably speak about in a bit, and they've really helped us take off and reach a market that may not necessarily want to buy a full bottle, but they definitely want to experience it and see if they like it. With the on-trade, as well as the off-trade, it's been really exciting. Like, you guys have supported us very well. We're working with trying to now get into the bars ready for the reopening of all the bars. So we've got the most exciting time is to come, and to get the bars open again and start to talk to the bartenders, the bar owners, and see what London can come up with a London-based absinthe. Because not only have we tried to create it to be traditional and stand up to the traditional sort of standards and morals of what absinthe should be, we've created something that's really going to stand up in cocktails. And we want it to showcase that absinthe, it can be used in dashes, and Ali mentioned in the Savoy and Café Royale and other cocktail bars in the early 1900s. There were so many absinthe cocktails, and somehow we've kind of lost that, maybe in the sort of from the 80s up until the noughties. Now it's slowly coming back. So we want to showcase that this is an absinthe that you can put 30 ml into a cocktail, and it completely transform that cocktail into something that most people are yet to experience. Because like we're saying, the texture and the flavor that you get from this contains up to 50 times more botanicals than you'll find in a gin. So when you think of it that way, it's like, wow, this is like the most premium gin you can find in terms of flavor and the expression that it gives. So it's been really exciting. We're really excited, and we're just sort of waiting. And once we open the bar here,
like the rest of the country,
even
just waiting. But I'm really excited about it. I think it's, I've been doing this a very long time now, and having something like a different product that I've not seen before, or is being done in a different way, it gets me really excited about hospitality and the business and trying to find those suppliers and producers. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And I think there's some challenges ahead, for us as a business, and in terms of serving it, in terms of actually changing people's perception of what absinthe is. Yeah. But, a challenge is no bad thing.
No.
And, we'll get there and we'll figure that out bit by bit. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, I think it's amazing.
It's the very beginning of what is it, say the absinthe revival.
100%. Yeah.
Where it begins, and especially for England, it needs to mention more bars need to do it, and more distillers. There's so many distillers out there and distilleries that it would be great for them to sort of take this on and start producing it as well, just so that stigma.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
like 2,500 gins now available.
Yeah,
there were a few more quality absinthes.
I'm going to say something now which is controversial. I know people are probably going to have a go at me, but does the world really need any more gin? It's.
I don't know.
I've said it. I put it out there. But this, and I can't believe what you said before, Alison, about how relatively recent those bans were.
Yeah.
And the lifting of the bans were. I'm really surprised at that. So yeah, it really does feel like a whole new category.
Yeah.
Really, in essence.
One of the greatest things thus far has been, and it's always the case, is when you convert that new absinthe drinker, because so many people have their misconceptions in their head, what it is and what they're expecting, and then you give it to someone and you talk to them for a minute about it and you show them a different way of preparing it, and then it completely changes their mind on it. And so that's definitely been the best thing thus far with talking to people about our absinthe.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, changing the people's perceptions of it. Yeah, I think that's great. That's super exciting. I'm going to ask you a question, thinking 18 months, 2 years in the future. I don't want to do too much future tripping right now, but do you see you guys just sticking to absinthe, doing anything else, or is there any other categories you're like, what, we're really interested in this product? No one's doing it the way that we would do it. We're going to give it a go.
I mean, for us, I think absinthe is definitely what we're passionate about. It's what we know. And in terms of will we stick to absinthe? It's more perhaps the plant, the Artemisia plant, that again we can do a lot with, and we can showcase it in many ways. Not saying we're going to make a vermouth, but vermouth is a great example of a product that contains wormwood, brown wormwood, and petite wormwood, which is actually becoming quite popular in London right now. There's a lot of little small vermouth producers, which is great. We also need that. So I think in terms of what we're going to focus on, we're definitely focusing on absinthe and the Artemisia plant. We've got a lot of 18 months, 2 years. We've got a few products that are in the pipeline that we're developing, working on, but they are all variations of absinthe.
We are always going to be an absinthe distillery. Yeah.
Well, I think that's good to know. And stick to what you love. So I think it's really good. And one thing you mentioned before is about the sample packs, which I have one very handily in front of me right now, which is super cool. I will show that to the screen, see if you can see that. It's amazing. I really like these. Do you want to talk us through a sample pack?
Yeah. Basically, when we give talks at the bar, we usually start off by letting everyone get a feel for the botanicals, because every absinthe will have its own mix of botanicals that give it its unique flavor, but at its heart, you have the Holy Trinity. So it's always good to get a feel for them. So it includes a little sachet of the Holy Trinity, so people can open that up and immediately get that smell of absinthe, that anise, that fennel, that wormwood. And then it has a perforated absinthe spoon. So you tried yours without sugar, which is also great. And a clear style of absinthe is traditionally less bitter than the green styles. So it can be enjoyed with or without sugar, but it's always nice to have the accoutrements. and then a 50 ml bottle of the absinthe to try. And with that, you can try it in a couple of different ways if you want to split it up into 2 servings. So you can find out if you like it as rested with the sugar and the spoon, or if you want to go as you did and have it with and find your sort of sweet spot serving absinthe.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think and in terms of the sample packs, just so people know where to get them from, can they get them directly from you guys?
Yes, so they are on our website, and they also come with a little information card that has the seeds of aromatic flowers, so you can plant it after bleeding, which is always nice.
Oh, that's beautiful. And we will put, wherever this goes, we will put links to your shop and where you can get that. And we are currently stocking the bottles in our shop in N16, and we hope to be stocking the sample packs there as well. And as the business does reopen, we will be stocking it across all the venues as well, which is really excited about. So yeah, we chatted for half an hour now, so we'll probably start wrapping up. But is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything you think we might have missed or should talk about? Or
I might just quickly showcase the absinthe and soda just for
100%. Go for it. Yeah, totally.
So this one again is, you need even less than the last one. You need ice. So you need frozen water. But no spoons involved. I'm not going to do this with any sugar. You can use a little dash of simple syrup. This is more kind of like, if you're going up to the bar, you want to order a drink, you want something really refreshing. Instead of ordering a gin and tonic, you can order an absinthe and soda. So glass. This time we just fill it with ice. Take our absinthe. So I'll showcase this with a 25 ml serve. And we give it a little stir just to make sure I get the little air holes. And then soda water, as you had. So I'm going to do the same sort of rules. This is a 200 ml bottle. Top it up with a little bit of ice. And then just for a little bit of that, beach vibes, as you were talking about earlier, you want to be out somewhere sunny. A little bit of mint, just to freshen it up. So now we have a completely different experience. So from having a very traditional serve with water, and it's very refreshing. You get to taste sort of everything that's in it. I can smell it already. It's got this minty fragrancy. Very simple serve. Yeah,
that looks amazing. I wish I could have some mint to try it as well, and some ice. But I will try that once we get the bars back open. We'll try that. But again, that's a super simple serve. And again, I think one of the great things about it as well, it's actually still showcasing the spirit. And the actual absinthe, opposed to trying to mask it in any way, shape, or form.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's funny, like old historical photos of they were called absinthe professors who would work in the cafes of Paris in the sort of early 1900s. Yeah. Like they were showcased by pouring, either from a carafe, like on top of 2 tables and having it drip down, or huge soda siphon. So you can still create that theatre without the fire, without anything. Just practice from different heights.
But I think there's something that's really interesting about not having that theatre in a way, because you're kind of normalising it in some way. Because I really feel, I know when I've served absinthe, people have really enjoyed it. But I think there's also part of that theatre will put people off ordering it, because they don't want to be the centre of the attention in the bar while you go and sort out an absinthe fountain and sit there for 5 minutes while it slowly drips through and checking to make sure it's the right sweetness level for them. So having a slightly kind of normalised serve, I think will make it really accessible.
Both very traditional. Like the carafe and the soda water were both ways of preparing absinthe in the past. So if people are looking for a traditional serve at home, but you don't have a beautiful, very delicate fountain handy, then they're...
So sadly, I couldn't find my... I just couldn't find my absinthe fountain this evening. Right. Well, I'm going to start wrapping us up and just say thank you. We will put links on our social medias about this, where to get the products, and we'll also put a link to the bar as well, so people can come and find you. And we'll put any of your social media handles there as well. But Alison, Reese, I'd just like to say thank you very much, and I'm really excited about this going forward.
Amazing.
Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.